The universe is expanding. But how can we actually measure the expansion of the universe directly as it happens? One answer could be through Redshift Drift, which is the very slow change in the cosmological redshift of distant objects observed over time. In case you forgot, redshift is an expression of the distance of a distant object through the reddening of the light of the object due to the expansion of the universe. So redshift drift is the change in redshift and a direct measure of the acceleration of the universe expansion. With upcoming instruments like the Square Kilometre Array and the extremely large telescope, such measurements are now realistic. In a recent article published in the Open Journal of Astrophysics in November last year, Alexander Oestreicher and Sophie Marie Koksbang from SDU, along with a couple of colleagues, investigated how redshift drift is affected by the clumpy, inhomogeneous structure of the universe. The universe is not homogeneous on small and medium scales, and fluctuations in both velocities and especially in accelerations, that is, deviations from the average, can in principle contaminate the signal. The question is whether these effects only contribute as noise, create systematic errors, or if they actually contain new physical information about the universe. The motivation for the study is that it is expected that astronomers will be able to measure redshift drift statistically with the Square Kilometre Array by looking at the signal from very large collections of galaxies at low and intermediate redshifts. Individual fluctuations in the movement of the galaxies will in principle be averaged out because many galaxies are observed simultaneously, but only if the fluctuations are not systematic. With the extremely large telescope, the strategy is different. Here, the focus is on the high redshift quasars, where redshift drift can be measured using narrow absorption lines from hydrogen, the so-called Lyman alpha transition. Such observations are extremely precise but based on very few lines of sight, and therefore potentially more sensitive to local differences in the large-scale structure of the universe. The research group tackles the problem by using relativistic computer simulations of the galaxies, and they calculate redshift drift at two different observation times separated by 30 years. They repeat the analysis for 10 different observation positions to test line of sight effects. The results can be summarized in three main points. Firstly, the average redshift drift fits well with the universe being overall homogeneous and isentropic, except at very low redshifts, i.e. at smaller distances, where the local cosmic structure dominates. Secondly, fluctuations around the average can be large for individual galaxies at low redshifts. This can be relevant for future observations based on just few lines of sight. Thirdly, the most extreme deviations from the homogeneous picture are primarily due to fluctuations in accelerations of objects, especially in galaxy clusters and other dense structures on large scale. The researchers conclude that redshift drift is a robust cosmological measure for observations using both the Square Kilometre Array and the extremely large telescope. But also there are some devils hidden in the details that can serve as a new window into the cosmic structure and dynamics of the universe. Get the link to the article in the description below, and remember, like and subscribe.